we've waited has finally come. I'd like everyone to stand up, please, and welcome Mr. and Mrs. Chad and Quincie Odom. Congratulations. We finally made it. Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will get low just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. Yes, you're lovely with that smile so warm and that cheek so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you just the way you look tonight. Tonight, tonight. Yay!
Sit there and stare at us.
Right here. Heather. There you go. No, just my champagne.
Okay, the first song will be sung by somebody else. So normally I don't have a problem talking about Quincie. It's one of my favorite, probably my favorite topics, without question. This one's a little bit different though, because it's Quincie and Chad, but it transitions into Quincie and Chad. And I struggled with, what do I write? Because normally the thoughts just come naturally for me. This one I struggled with, because I didn't know how to make it flow. So I went online and I copied somebody else's.
But you were going to change the names, right?
This is mine. This is mine. Glasses, only sometimes. Yeah. So obviously I am Quincie's father, and I want to start with saying thank you to everybody who's coming, or to everybody who's here, who came to help us celebrate the wedding of Quincie and Chad. And also I want to say thank you on behalf of Quincie and Chad, myself, and all of the people who are responsible for Quincie's upbringing. It certainly wasn't just me. There are a number of other people who had a hand in that, who helped shape her, mold her, to be the person that she is. And for me to stand here and talk about her without acknowledging that there were others who had more than had a hand in it. In fact, they did the work. I went to work. So I would say Janice, Quincy's mom, her biological mom, Rhonda, and Janice was the early years, Rhonda was the middle years, had a big hand in raising Quincie, a very big hand. And in later years, Lori. So I just want to acknowledge they are the ones responsible for molding Quincy into the person that she is. And I think what a fabulous job they've done. So with that not out of the way, with that done, I also want to say thank you to Pat and Shirley for the rehearsal dinner and the guided tour of the train museum last night, which was special, unique to the couple and to the rainforest. This whole event. So with that, I'll get started with Quincy with what I have to say. I've typed it down. I'll try not to just read it because I just want it to flow a little better than that. So it says, what it says, I've been blessed with the most amazing daughter, a father, daddy, could ever want. Quincy is one of the most kind, considerate, loving, compassionate people I know, with an outstanding, wonderful, twisted sense of humor. But that is what makes Quincy, and everybody knows that. I love her sense of humor. I love the way she gets tickled about simple things that most people overlook, just oversee and don't think a whole lot of. I love her sense of humor. She roots for the underdog. That is another thing about Quincy. Her compassion. She's always looking out for the underdog, sympathetic to their needs and their cause. She's humble and unaware of the beauty she possesses both inside and out. She is a priceless treasure. That is the way I feel about her. That is Quincy. So when she was born, I have to go back to remembering, when she was born, I was terrified. I had no idea what to do, how to be a dad, how to be a father. I had no clue. So I did what I think most new fathers, first-time fathers do, and I winged it. I faked it and hoped for the best. And eventually things became easier, it became more natural, the diaper changing and the baths and then the diaper changing immediately after the diaper change because she wasn't done with what she was doing. And everybody's experienced that if you've ever changed a diaper. So these are just little things. These are little bonding things, I think, because it maybe as twisted or odd as that seems. For me, they were, these are things that are set in my memory. They're the things that, I don't know what the right word is. That's how the bonding for me took place with Quincy. So are things that a lot of fathers don't do. And I would say shame on them because they have no idea what they're missing in those simple things like that. It's all part of raising a child. So yeah, things became easier rather quickly. The first time I spent the night with Quincy alone, I was terrified because I didn't know what to do. I changed a couple of diapers before, but I didn't know how do you comfort a crying baby? Why are they crying? Those sorts of things. At that time, I was alone. It was just Quincy and I. And when she started fussing, I wasn't quite sure what to do. So I'd do what I saw other people do. I'd pick her up and hold her and pace the floor and pray to God that would soothe her. And it did. She would stop fussing, and I was happy because I wouldn't know what to do if she didn't. Other than, the diaper change and maybe feeding and that sort of thing. So that is what I did. And then later, as I became a little bit more comfortable and as the evening came, she'd start fussing. And instead of picking her up because I didn't want to spoil her like that, I put my hand down near hers. And, her hand is this big. She wrapped her fingers around my pinky. And for me, it was instant. It was that lightning bolt or whatever you want to call it, of bonding. I felt at that time, at that instant, that we were bonded together. She understood who I was and the comfort that comes with that for me and I'd like to think for her as well. I don't know, but for me, I think because it relaxed me, I think things worked better. You know, things became much easier. Things became much easier for me. Okay. Yeah, see, I also became comfortable with the simple things of having a baby, like changing diapers. Yeah, changing them. I've covered that. In the blink of an eye, Quincie was going to school. It seems like just when I was changing diapers, she was heading to school. I was fortunate enough to be able to take her to school on her first days throughout most of it, to not just me, but to be able to accompany her to her first days of school through probably until she didn't want me there anymore, maybe junior high or somewhere around there. But those are one of those things, again, that for me, I wouldn't trade it for anything. There was no other place. I spent a lot of time working. I was gone a lot, but there are a few things, and that first day of school was always an important one. I was not going to miss that for her, because I got to hold her hand going into the school, and this is my baby girl. And for me, I loved it. It was golden. So, yeah, she's going to school. Later, when she was, I don't know, 9, 10 years old or so, Rhonda would make a picture book of hairdos, different hairdos that Quincie had, and then when she get ready for school, she would go through the book and pick out the hairdo that she wanted and go to school that way. Of course, it would be undone about as quickly as it could be put in. So she did like to play sports. She excelled in every sport that she played: basketball, volleyball, and soccer. She was especially good in soccer, in the goalkeeper position. Nothing got past her, literally nothing. Well, maybe not literally, but pretty darn close to it, truly. So she was very good in the sports that she played, basketball, volleyball, and soccer. There was one time, though, because she is such a compassionate person, the thought of hurting somebody just goes against her grain. So she was yellow carded one time in a soccer game, and she cried and cried and cried. We asked the referee to come over after the game to try to console her and let her know, look, it's okay. It's part of the game, you know. But how do you teach a kid that it's not okay to be rough and hurt others, potentially hurt others, in a soccer game or in a pretty much a contact sport? How do you teach them that it's okay in that, but it's not okay outside? But she struggled with it, and she struggled with it for some time beyond that game. But I think eventually she came to understand that that is part of the sport. You have to be aggressive in the game. It was through sports that she made most of her friends. Those are the ones who would come to the house and spend the night. She had sleepovers, that sort of thing. In those sleepovers, she was in her early teens, I suppose. And her bedroom closet was kind of, rather large for what she had. The closet about half the size. Her and her friends used to sleep in the closet. And she decided what color she wanted. It's fluorescent green, and like a kind of a lime green. And recently, I was wondering, how do I change that? I mean, how am I going to cover that up? But when her friends came over with the sleepovers, they would take glow-in-the-dark paint and they'd put their handprints on the ceiling, because it had a slope ceiling. There are handprints on the walls and on the ceilings, and things of Jessica loves Brian or whatever. And I wanted that covered because at some point the house would be sold, and I can't sell it like that. And so I thought, and when I was standing there looking at that, for whatever reason, I turned the light out, and that glow-in-the-dark paint still glows in the dark. It's not especially bright, but it does still glow in the dark. And again, at that time, I said, I cannot cover this. Maybe someday, but that's my closet now. By the way, I don't sleep in it, but that's where my clothes are. And I like going in there because it reminds me of, I see the small handprints and the messages that are written from, by her friends about other boys and that sort of thing. Their boyfriends. Quincie wouldn't, she couldn't do that because boys weren't allowed. I mean, none of them were good. I know that because I am. So a few years later, she got her driver's license, which I think for any parent is the most terrifying thing for any parent, for a couple of reasons. One, because you're putting them in a car, and, for obvious things. They're in a car, going however fast they want to go, and with no real skill whatsoever. And you just hope for the best, that they come home just like they left. Quincie did always come home like she left, but her car didn't. And it was on more than one occasion. That was the first few cars that she drove. They were evident that she drove them. And they weren't all her cars either. So I was able to practice my paint and body skills on that because I couldn't file it on insurance. So I just could go to the junkyard and get parts and put them on and paint it, and off you go again. So at some point after that, Quincie decided, college might be a good idea. So she went to community college for a while. She decided she liked acting. She did that for a while. That occupied her time in the evenings and for a little while afterwards. And then she just, as kids do, you move on from that to other things, which she did. In this case, it was boys. And one in particular, quite some time after the college and the fluorescent green, glow-in-the-dark paint. So one in particular, as Q's daddy, alarm bells start going off when she says, I've met a boy. I've met a guy. At this point, they're not boys, they're guys. And alarm bells start going off as they always do. So who is he? What does he do? Where does he live? What's his motive? How old is he? What do his parents do? Does he hold a steady job? What is his work ethic? How has he treated women? And most importantly, how will he treat my baby girl? And that is most important. Which she promptly replied, additional questions from me, which she replied, which prompted additional questions from me. So she said that she works with him. I said, what do you mean you work with him? We talked about that. You don't date people you work with. It was kind of a rule of mine, but that was my rule, not hers. And she was old enough she could make up her own mind. She said, he's a nice guy. He's a counselor. And I asked, why is he working in a restaurant if he's a counselor? How did that happen? And I said, I'm telling you, kid, I've never met him. And this is true, this is what I told him. I said, I've never met him, but he has ulterior motives. Because all guys do. And I said, I know these things, I'm a guy. But the first time I met Chad, he and Q were quarreling about something. He was sitting on the stairs in the apartment complex where Quincie lived. When we pulled up, he had you had a look on his face, like, I can't believe you called your dad. And to be honest with you, I couldn't believe she called her dad either. But she did call, and I was there, and as I would respond at any time if she called. So he had a look on his face like, I can't believe you called your dad. He was upset and had a devastated look on his face. I'm not sure devastated look on his face. I'm not sure that's quite an accurate description, but you can see that there was concern. He was unhappy, as was she. And of course, she was my main concern. He spoke for some time. He and I spoke for some time while Lori was talking to Q. I only remember it seemed like Chad made his case well. He he presented himself well, which for me, it was, a key because she's getting older. This is a guy who she's going to, be serious with, or so it seemed. So I think when a father meets a daughter's date, the thinking is, this will be the first time and the last time I have to see the guy. This was not my reaction to Chad. I did think there's something different about him. He does seem like a good guy, a caring guy, says all the right things, and seems like somebody who's interested in my daughter and would be a good partner with her. So not long after that, I was having a conversation where we made a comment about where Chad made a comment about having kids and expectation or needs for a spouse, and in my mind, I'm going, well, hang on a second. What are you talking about? We don't know each other. We don't know each other that well. And of course, this for me led to the reality that maybe this is the one. Maybe Chad is the one that she's going to settle with because they both behaved like that. It seemed like there was a change taking place in them. So as Quincie and Chad's relationship grew, there was a clear change in direction. I believe in both of their lives. Better understanding of future goals and plans, they were clearly supportive of one another and set goals for each of them to achieve, which they are well on their way. At some point, a father has to give a fair evaluation of the person his daughter may choose as her life mate, and as their compatibility. And just to get out of the way, not to impede their development, their happiness in their relationship. That was a specific moment in time for me when I realized I was in the way and I needed to move. That Chad is a good guy and Quincie is serious about him. But the questions come: does he love her like I do? Will he be supportive of her? Does he fulfill her emotional needs? Are they spiritually compatible? Are they in financial agreement? Will he support her in her career choice? From what I've seen, they've both shown, from the growth that I've seen, both Quincie and Chad, they do that. They do support each other. So I myself, so for me, Chad, I have to say, through all of the things, over the years of you and Quincie and the thoughts that I've expressed here tonight, which may make people think, question whether there was any question or not. I have to tell you, I could not have picked a better spouse for Quincie. I could not have done it, and the best thing I did was get out of the way for you two to develop your relationship. It is truly, for me, comfort. It provides me comfort to know that you're the one who's going to stand beside her, that you two are in a relationship for life, and I have perfect peace with that. You are a good man, and you deserve each other. You complement each other well. You're a good pair, and I could not be happier for the choice that you two have made. And with that, I would say, welcome to the family.
Thank you all so much. We're going to invite somebody else up here to speak, y'all. I'd like to invite Chad's sister, Shannon, to come up and say a few things.
Try Daniel.
you go. Tall. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Shannon, Chad's little sister. Although I'm not feeling too little these days, third trimester pregnant, and I'm feeling it, folks. I'll try not to go into labor tonight, though, because I'm not about to steal the bride and the groom's thunder. But just in case I do, will someone save me a slice of cake and bring it to the hospital? Anyone? As Chad's little sister, you could say that we go back quite a ways. From playing Barbie with his G.I. Joes, to family vacations to Disney World, we've been on quite a few adventures together. Although in our family growing up, a lot of family bonding happened over board games. We had a family game closet that we pulled games out of for family game nights, on long road trips, and camping out in the trunk of our dad's SUV while we waited for the annual 4th of July fireworks show to start. So when I heard that Quincy enjoyed playing board games too, and Chad and Quincy were hosting game nights together, I knew that they were a good match for each other. As some of you probably know, Chad and Quincy first met working in a restaurant together at the Woodlands Resort. What you may not know is that Chad had just gone through one of the most difficult years of his life that involved the loss of our wonderful mother to cancer. So I was understandably nervous and felt a bit overprotective when he asked me for advice about how to approach this girl at work that he was interested in. I love my brother and I did not want to see him go through any more pain. But I could tell that this girl must have been something special because as his little sister, my brother did not usually approach me for dating advice. He did not tell me much, but he did say that Quincy had recently been through some hard times of her own, and he was afraid of approaching her too soon. So I kept my advice simple: be her friend first, and if it is meant to be more than that, she will let you know when the time is right. I don't really know what happened from there, but I think she did let him know, or we wouldn't all be here tonight. As I have gotten to know Quincy, I've seen the ways in which she and Chad are quite compatible. They seem to share many of the same interests, board and video games, and rock music, to name a few. But I think what I love the most about their relationship is how much I've seen them support each other in achieving their goals both professionally and personally. They have both gone back to school to pursue careers in fields that they love with the support of their partner, and are now thriving in those chosen jobs. And as they have prepared for this wedding, I've seen them support each other also in achieving their physical fitness goals by meeting with a physical trainer together every week. I know it hasn't always been easy, but that support is important to the success of a marriage. And I have every faith that these two are here for each other every step of the way. Marriage is not always easy. I know that's probably not something that you want to hear on your wedding day. But in 4 years of marriage, I have learned that you will fight. And with that, my marriage advice is a little bit untraditional. Go to bed angry. That's right, a lot of people will tell you never go to bed angry. But I'm going to tell you, when you're tired and irritable, it's going to be much harder to see things from the other person's point of view, and you're going to say things that could potentially hurt your partner. So pause, rest up, and restart the conversation the next day with a clear heart and mind. To my older brother, I wish you and Quincy many years of happiness. I pray that you may always cherish each other and become each other's lifelong gaming partners, road trip companions, and most importantly, best friends. And to Quincy, welcome to the family. I am genuinely happy to call you my sister-in-law. Cheers to the bride and groom.
Cheers! Short, right?
So now I'd like to call up Quincy's sister, Alyssa. Come on, girl.
Get right up on it and don't let it face that way. Yeah. It's okay. I'm about to fall. I cheat.
Go ahead. All right. For those of you who don't know, I'm Quincy's older sister, Allison.
Get up on it.
Okay. Speech giving is not my forte, so that's my disclaimer. When I found out I was going to have a baby sister, I was devastated, heartbroken. I was going, hold on. The idea of having to share my things and having another child to compete for attention with was just too much for my 6-year-old only child psyche to handle. When she was born, though, I knew I had a friend for life who I would love and cherish. Okay, maybe not when she was first born, but I grew to love her, and she means the world to me today. When I first met Chad, it was at a concert at the Woodlands Pavilion. I believe BuzzFest, was it? Chevelle was there, and it was probably Quincy's 17th time to see Chevelle. Chad had such a refined, laid back, like just cool demeanor. And they were headed down to the pit for Chevelle. And I just thought to myself, I couldn't imagine that being Chad's cup of tea, you know, like going down to the pit. But I'm not sure if I was right or not, because they've been to several concerts since, and I'm sure they've done general admission and pit and all that. But my first thought was that he was doing it for her. And immediately I wanted us to work, you know, like, I don't know if I was right. Was that right? The pit. Quincy introduced you to the pit, right? Okay. So, it just made me happy to know that he was going down there for her, because I just knew it, you know. And as much as I could not imagine Chad being a heavy metal rocker, I also couldn't imagine Quincy being a D&D player. Now, I was going to call you a dungeon master, but I don't know if you're at that level yet. No. But anyway, somehow when you fall in love with somebody, you like to do the things that they like to do. And even if you don't love it, you still, you enjoy the time you spend doing it, and then you grow to like it because you're doing it with somebody you love. And, wait, I lost my spot. But this is what I saw that day, and I have continued to see over and over again with you two. Y'all support each other, inspire each other, and y'all push each other to strive for your goals. And the caring and devotion y'all have for one another is beautiful. And together over the last few years, you have both soared. Educationally, professionally, emotionally, physically. I'm very proud of you both, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for both of you, both individually and as one. Congratulations, and I love you both. And I'm so proud of y'all. It was a beautiful wedding, and I can't wait to see what happens next. All right.
All right, folks, we've got one more speaker. I'm going to call Ian up. He was an officiant and also a friend of the couple, and we'd like to ask him up to speak. You're a little taller, so I'm going to have to adjust this again.
Fine with me. Or I can crank it up to 11 again.
I will. Just don't point it towards the speaker because it'll scream. There you go, darling. Speak away.
All right, everyone. So, Chad and I have been best friends since high school, so I might know a few things about him.
That was a long time ago.
Secrets.
Like 20 years ago.
That was a while ago. Being the day of his wedding, I wanted to share a story of whenever our newlyweds relationship was only just beginning. About 5 years ago, I was visiting my now wife in North Carolina. Chad joined me on this trip so that he could see some of his family there. Our plane landed, we rented a convertible Mustang, cool. And as we were driving around the Raleigh-Durham area, I heard beeps of incoming messages to the car screen. Quincy, I said, who's that? Chad told me that he met this girl at work and she was really cool. I asked, how cool? And he said, she's played World of Warcraft.
Not cool at all.
Every place we stopped, Chad was entranced, texting her, always with a big goofy grin on his face. I knew Chad was happy, and I knew Quincy was special because there were very few things that can distract Chad from a convertible Mustang. Their love for each other was blossoming in a special way too, and some ancient wisdom might help explain what I mean. 2,500 years ago, a man by the name of Aristotle said that there were 3 levels of friendship. The lowest level being that of utility. You scratch each other's backs. The second level is that of pleasure. You have fun with this person. And the highest level of friendship is that of mutual appreciation of each other's deep values. In other words, you share your faults, you share your desires, and you become better people with each other, through each other. Aristotle called this your second self. Since Chad and Quincy have met, they've supported one another through many challenges. Degrees have finished, jobs have changed, personal growth goals have been met, and cats have been sealed in walls. You can ask them about that one, but the cat's fine, don't worry. So let us all raise our glass and toast to finding our second selves because Chad and Quincy have found theirs. Cheers.
Cheers.